Doting fatherhood is often a rarity in the animal kingdom. For most species, the lack of the maternal physical connection between fathers and offspring means that dads are relegated to nest protectors or they just move on. But the red-backed poison dart frog is different. When his children are in need of resources, a brilliant color is not the only thing that can be found on his back. But carrying the future on your shoulders is sometimes the true test of manhood, in life, death, in taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I am Joe.
And I am Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Jesse Raspulich, Carol Raspulich, Richard Kaspar, Lottie and Aubrey, Gray Hughes, and Wednesday Rabbit. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on. If you would like to support us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/ldtaxonomy and sign up or just hang out. It's free to hang out. So we just wanna build a community over there.
Mm-hmm. And today we're talking about a tiny slimy father, but more on that later.
Double fathers, right? We had a good father, a good father last week, and was that the jawfish last week? And then now it's a no. Last week was the octopus squid, but it is a month of good fathers, so
yeah,
that's what June means to me, is a father's month. But yeah, we were talking about the red-backed poison dart frog.
Mm-hmm.
The second poison dart frog we've done. We did the golden poison dart frog just a millennia ago, but now we're doing the red-backed one, which we're going to call here the toxic masculinity. That was a dumb one. Hermes comrade. We just talked about Russia a bunch in our warm-up, so I just called it Hermes comrade. But I guess there's a play on words there. I meant to say Hermes Conrad. And then baby back ribbits. The frog.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. So let's taxonomize this. It's in the kingdom you know, love, and are in that kingdom's Animalia. The phylum is Chordata. Class is Amphibia. It's an amphibian. The order is Anura. It's a true frog. The family is Dendrobatidae. The genus is Ranidomya. And the species is Reticulata. So the binomial nomenclature is Ranidomya reticulata. And since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my other favorite part of the show, nitty-gritty nomenclature. We've already talked. Every time we do a frog, there's only one collective noun for frog, and that's an army. We already know that. You had some sort of like planner in middle school or whatever that told you that a group of frogs is called an army, so there's just no getting around it. Nitty-gritty nomenclature for this one. Ranidomya reticulata. What does that mean? What spell does that produce? Does it mean A, Tommy's little net-like frog, B, rotating redback frog, C, toxic speckled cover, or D, turning tree-dwelling frog?
D, final answer.
Turning tree-dwelling frog?
Mm-hmm.
That is incorrect. It is Tommy's little net-like frog.
Okay.
Like the guy. Okay. No. So Rana.
Okay.
That is that. Yeah. Okay. That's Spanish for frog. So it comes from Latin for frog, like rana. R- Ranito is little frog, but that is mixed with Tome or Tommy, which is the person who discovered it, the genus. And then I didn't know this reticulata is net-like.
Reticulated python. I could see that.
I always like get this. Maybe it's just because it sounds like it just rotate or turning or something like that, but it's with the appearance of a net. But a reticulated python is that way because it looks like it's covered in a net. And so is the red-backed poison dart frog. It is aptly named. Which, should I go ahead and talk about what it looks like?
Sure.
All right, so this is a very tiny tree frog. It has a more upright posture than something like the red-eyed tree frog, the poster boy for Rainforest Cafe. You know that tree frog.
I know him well.
Do you know him well? Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. I
never understood a single word he said, but I helped him drink his wine.
There's tons of frog culture coming together here.
We all love frogs.
I had a friend who had a phobia of frogs, which I had never heard of before, which was really rough when you live in South Florida and there are toads everywhere.
That's probably why he had. I don't think you just get a phobia. I don't think you're born with a frog phobia if you don't live around frogs.
I don't know, maybe. If you just like
the phobia lottery landed on frog for me, even though I live in Wisconsin.
Well, I mean, I think there's toads up there, but like maybe you see them on a documentary or something, and you're like, that is for some reason the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. I want nothing that even looks like that to come within a 50-mile radius of my person. Yeah, it's interesting. They're just like, they're harmless. At least they don't attack. They're not harmless. We're going to go into why these guys are not harmless. But like snakes and spiders and roaches, I understand. Those things bite and infest. But like frogs are just chill. I don't know.
They're hanging out.
It's like a phobia of turtles. Oh, okay. Snapping turtles, yeah, but like all other turtles are chill. So anyway, this has a more upright posture. I remember having little like toys of these guys. I would go to the Fairchild Tropical Gardens, which is this big botanical garden down in Miami, and my dad loved to take us there. And their gift shop had all these like different colored frogs, and I loved to collect them. And most of them were in the shape of poison dart frogs because those are the most colorful frogs. But they're usually like kind of like sitting up rather than with their bellies against the ground. Mm-hmm. They have the redback poison dart frog. They have black legs and flanks with these blue bubble lines or net lines, as we mentioned. Or maybe it's the other way around, like zebras. Maybe they have blue legs with black blotches that break it up. Who knows? Their titular bright red patch is on their backs and heads, so they're blue, black, and red for the most part, with maybe a little tint of orange in there. And then they have these large black eyes, like a doll's eyes. But yeah, they are extremely tiny, though. So why don't you go ahead and tell us how tiny they are?
What a good-looking little frog.
It is a very handsome frog.
Much
more guapo than Mr. Toad.
It's a guapo sapo?
Sure.
Sapo guapo. Isn't sapo... It might be toad in Spanish. Because frog is the other word.
Rana.
Yeah. Because remember that game? The frog game? Sapo.
No. I've never played frog game that wasn't frog.
Where you throw the coins into the frog's mouth.
Oh yes, I do know that game.
Yeah, it's Toad.
Toad.
It's not frog, but it's Toad.
Interesting.
So he's not a sapo guapo, but he's guapo. Let's talk about. Oh no! Welcome to the Blood Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal's size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family, and it's even funner now. It's also the part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the word measure up into LD taxonomy to get at gmail.com. We don't have a new measure up intro this week, which means we get to hear from an animal, and Carlos is to guess what it is. We got a couple of emails.
Nice. Hopefully good ones.
Nora.
Yes.
From Nora. The critter group's supremacy rises again. Did we know that she was on the side of critter groups? I didn't.
Yes, we did.
Maybe we did know that, because we knew that Chanel was, because she sent in those.
Yeah, those the propaganda measure ups.
She says, P.S. in sign languages, at least French descended ones like ASL, Lang des si I don't know how to say this in French.
Just stop pronouncing the word after the last vowel.
Québécois.
Québécois.
Signs Québécois. Signes. Anyway.
Stop pronouncing the word after the last vowel and you've got French down to a T. Or whatever vowel comes before T.
In sign languages, 3 is the thumb, index, middle, because the index middle ring is 6. Yeah. Index middle. Oh. Is 6. Look up illustrations of 8, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It makes perfect sense. Yeah, because it's like. Because you put fingers down for the other ones. I did know that 3. This is 3 in sign language because of a mission trip to a Jamaican deaf village where they have JSL, which is a lot like ASL. And we had to learn the numbers.
Interesting. That's definitely not my go-to. It's because like using your thumb to like hold the rest of the fingers down like a spring just makes it so easy to just like roll through all the fingers, and you don't have to like switch it up or try to find some way to keep your ring and pinky down when you're trying to like try to do 4. Go from that 3 to 4, and you're just like struggling to keep your pinky. My pinky is like almost sitting out straight. Yeah, go
this
from
3.
Go from that ASL 3,
yeah,
and then go to 4, and you're just like, it's just an uncomfortable way for me to hold my hand at least. So I just like to have my thumb there to keep things where they need to be. Anyway, thank you, Nora.
And then Chanel also sent an email. Just listened to the latest episode, which was really interesting. I'm so glad you guys, mostly Carlos probably, enjoyed my Measure Up intros the past 2 episodes. I did enjoy them. I didn't enjoy the substance. I didn't enjoy the message, but I did enjoy the quality and just the choice to send them in. It is always nice to have engagement. I will never turn my nose up at engagement, even if it is pro critter groups.
No,
critter
publicity
groups
is bad. Publicity?
Yeah. Critter groups is definitely my favorite of the 2, but I do love Measure Up. I also like the new way of doing it with the multiple choice questions. I'm sure Carlos appreciates having to do less head math as well. Just wanted to say thank you for having such an amazing show and teaching me more about God's creatures. I'd also like to say that I really enjoy the random nerdy references and Bible references. That's it.
Nice.
That's all we do.
There's more to come.
Yeah.
Buckle
up.
Thank
you so much for thanking us.
Yeah.
It feels good on my brain.
That's great. Yeah. I'll have to switch up my nerdy references to stop just referencing Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Futurama. Maybe like branch out a little bit. Test the waters.
Yeah. We talked about Dune a little bit sometimes.
That's true. Fear is the mind killer.
Yeah. Thank you, Chanel. Chanel and Nora. Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's great to hear from people that love the show.
It sure is. Now, let's talk about their... Wait, no. First, we got to listen to a frog. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
This is a mystery box. You see, if anybody can guess from the clues I give what is in this box, then they can keep what is in the box. Is it cookie? No.
It's the first voice you're thinking of.
Yeah, I figured. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? What's on the other side?
That is
it's Kermit the Frog.
Probably the most famous frog, yeah.
Yeah. Probably the most famous frog.
Mr. Toad, maybe at one time, was the most famous frog.
Yeah, that Mr. Toad doesn't even come close. In the 1910 times,
Frog
maybe.
and Toad are friends.
Yeah.
So let's talk
Crazy
the
frog?
length. This is the length of a female red-backed poison dart frog, which is slightly larger than the male. It's 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch. So a female redback is the same length as A, 4 Cheerios stacked. B.
Did you say that like a speak and spell? 4 Cheerios stacked. It's like...
Or B, 1 uncoiled mechanical pencil spring. Or C, 1/136 millionth of the moon's diameter.
4 Cheerios stacked. Final answer.
The correct answer is 136 millionth of the moon's diameter.
See, you've now you're gonna lead me into this like false. You're gonna bait me because the next time that you put 2 normal things and then like 1/1 millionth of something, I'm gonna be like, that's obviously it, and then you're gonna be like, nope, it's 1 fish or whatever. It's the same size as 1 red herring. Ha, gotcha.
I like the uncoiled mechanical pencil because like I wouldn't even begin to know where to look to find that information.
Yeah, or
how long is that?
Or to consider.
I'd have to do it myself.
What if it's right?
It could be right. That's the thing. I don't look these things up. The ones that are not the right answer. Let's talk about their weight. They're about an ounce. So you've got an inch and an ounce. Very easy math if we were doing it the other way. But a poison dart frog is the same weight as A, 2 soda can tabs. B, 1/3 a box of cereal. The box. And C, 23,897 eyelashes.
Why cereal, man? I'm so hungry. And I love cereal so much. Wow, that's a lot of eyelashes. And that's a really gross mental picture I have of just like just a haystack of eyelashes.
It's like looking at a frog in an eyelash stack.
An ounce. An ounce is the heaviest thing there is.
Unit of measurement, yeah.
I think it's more... What was the first one again?
2 soda can tabs.
All right, it's more than that. Because I've held like an ounce of silver in my hand, like at one of those silver coins, and it's heavier than 2 soda can tabs, I think. Eyelashes. I'm going to go with eyelashes. Yes.
The correct answer is 2 soda can tabs.
Oh, the only one I wasn't going to pick.
They are about a half an ounce each.
What? They're not very heavy, and ounces are really heavy.
Yeah, this joke of ours is really going to throw you off the ounce.
It's not even a joke. It's just the fact that every time something like it really is a lot heavier than I think it is. Because there's only one
fact is a cereal box is about 14 ounces, just the box.
I'd eat the box at this point.
That's all I got for that. Do you have any fast facts before we get into the major fact?
I do. So the red-backed poison dart frog lives in the Amazon rainforests of Peru and Ecuador, which I've been to. Didn't see any poison dart frogs, though. And the reason why I named it Hermes Conrad is because their diet is why their skin is so spicy. There's that episode of Futurama where he eats so much like spicy goat curry that when someone tries to eat his skin, the robot tries to eat his skin and then dies. It just melts. So, like, if you ever wondered why poison dart frogs are poisonous, it's because of what they eat. They usually eat ants, mites, and beetles. All these critters have venoms and poisons that are harmlessly absorbed into the frog's skin glands. And then they are released either voluntarily through pores as a defense mechanism, or it just seeps out through open wounds when they are bit or crushed. This poison is pretty potent. It is the second strongest in the genus of Rhenitomyia. And it's enough to be fatal to most mammals, birds, and reptiles that would try to make a snack out of them in that area. Not necessarily like eating a poison dart frog would not necessarily be fatal for a person or like a jaguar or something like that.
But you would feel bad about it.
Yeah, you wouldn't love it. You wouldn't have a good rest of your afternoon. That's for sure. But jaguars are not trying to eat 1-inch poison dart frogs, so they might be crushing them by accident, but that's about it. Snakes can sometimes tolerate the toxin, so they still got to look out for them. They are super aggressive throughout their lives, even as tadpoles. They are cannibals and as tadpoles, and are sometimes even purposefully fed other tadpoles. So, and there is a study that shows that a correlation between tadpoles that eat other tadpoles growing larger and faster than ones that do not cannibalize their sibling.
Another frog.
Yeah, by eating their heart and gaining their courage. But I'll leave it at that. These guys are jerks. So,
no,
poisonous jerks. Toxic in every sense of the word.
Well, let's talk about something that's kind of nice about them. So they live in groups of 5 or 6, and during the wet season, several groups come together for breeding gatherings. Males court the females by calling to get their attention and then gently stroking and licking them. Well, I guess they can handle the toxin themselves.
Of course.
And then when mating, males buzz loudly for 5 seconds to do. That's the call. It's like a little buzzing sound. So once a female selects a male, they hop away to a nice spot, kind of often in a bromelade to mate. What the heck's a bromelade? You have seen one probably. It's a type of plant, tropical plant that It's kind of like aloe, where it's like stalks, the stems. The leaves are like firm offshoots.
It's like a succulent.
Yeah,
It's got a
if
lot
you
of
look it up,
moisture in the
you've
leaves.
seen them before. It's a type of plant that often has a water in the crevices, because the leaves are like these curved shaped arms shooting off of the plant, and water falls and collects into the center. So they will lay 2 to 3 eggs every other week, and the male. So they'll train the eggs. Will hatch, but they're not usually in like a body of water like your pond frogs. They're in these bromeliads, or in the stems, like anywhere in the rainforest that a small amount of water gets trapped. They will deposit these eggs, and the eggs will hatch. They will swim around in this tiny little pool in this plant, but then resources get depleted in this tiny little pool. So what happens? Like, there's no food in it. They have to literally deposit food in there for these frogs.
They eat each other.
Yeah, so they eat. That's they eat each other. But even when there's one tadpole, they have to continually go where the resources are. But how do you go where the resources are when you're in a plant? You're a swimming creature in a plant in the rainforest. What they will do is the male will somehow like get in the water, I guess, and like strap it to its back. It's piggyback back ride time. The tadpole will stick to the back of the male. I try to find out like the exact mechanism for this. It might just be like sliminess, water tension that sticks this tadpole to the back of their father, and the father will hop and find a new place with more resources to deposit the tadpole into water. So the female will, the male will carry the tadpoles on his back to wherever they need to be, and he transports them to tiny bodies of water like bromeliad pools or leaf axils, which is another like place water gets caught in a plant. And then if there's not enough food to go to bring them, the females will lay an unfertilized egg for the tadpole to eat. Just here's an omelet. I've made it myself.
It's more of a deviled egg, but
yeah,
it's or poached. I'm seeing that they have there's a mucus that the frogs have on their backs that is water soluble, so that when they get in the water, it sticks the tadpoles to them.
Yeah, because they would have to be something adhesive, because they're jumping around. Like, it's not just like, I hope he stays.
Yeah, it's not a balancing act.
Him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like literally they will put the team on their back, put the family on their back, and take them to new places.
Which I do all the time anyway. It's amazing how many times I'm carrying all three at the same time on my back.
You can see a picture of this, and it is adorable. A tiny frog with an even tinier tadpole stuck to its back.
It looks like a remora. It's like it's just a frog with this giant leech stuck to its back.
Yeah.
So adorable is one way I could think of describing it.
But you can see its stinky little eyeballs too back there. Experiencing the forest for the first time.
It's stinky eyeballs. Those are the smelliest eyeballs.
Oh my goodness! There's a picture where they got two.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
that's
all
when
I
you
got.
when you're. I play the role of horse/gorilla a lot, so I just have the kids clinging to my back for a good portion of the afternoon. So I sympathize
Gorilla
with
is
this
a perfect
frog.
mount. You have to deposit them somewhere and give them an omelet.
I do that. Well, for one, Mason doesn't like eggs, but Riley loves them, so I do pick her up on my back and deposit her in the chair she sits in at the dinner table and feed her an omelet.
You're basically
I'm basically a redback poison dart frog. That's right. Yeah. Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
All right, that was the red-backed poison dart frog, putting the team on his back, on his red back. So for you out there in Podcastia, put on your red war paint, stay toxic, and give your kids piggyback rides until your lumbar gives out and you slip a disc like the red-backed poison dart frog here in life, death, and taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
And enjoy some pictures of these guys. They are striking frogs.
Don't strike them, though. They're full of poison.
And they will not be able to handle it. They will squish.